Yvette and I could tell a story of sitting in her dining room kitchen near Greenfield when the idea had blossomed for Nelson County Life magazine. And look how far it's come since then. Susan Huffman, who will speak after after Tommy and Yvette, will help understand that with an intern that we had by the name of Nathan Parrish, we were able to get all of the issues of Nelson County Life and Blue Ridge Life digitized. We were able to get a index created that is searchable so that you will be able to stay at home and search the index for things or people or places, etc., a fabulous index. You will be able to search that and then go to an article to read about what was produced over those years. And so Tommy and Yvette have done so much together, but they each have their separate careers. I can tell you that it would have been fun to be their kids and do homeschooling. Because very often they got to go eat at nice little restaurants and do their studies. So,
and vineyards.
And vineyards. So Tommy and Yvette, please come forward.
Well, thank you for coming today, and Peter, thank you for doing this. Most of you were here when we started, or a lot of you, I know, because when I saw some of you come in, but that's how it started. Does everybody remember that?
Yeah.
That was the very first one, and boy, that had some stories in it.
And who remembers when it launched? What month? Yeah.
April Fool's Day.
Of
April
course.
Fool's, there you go.
Because
And-
if we're
and-
gonna fall flat, that's the day to launch a magazine.
I'm going to
Right?
tell you a little story on how it started, and I don't want to get too mired down, and you just prompt me on the time, Peter, as we go. And that's how it ended, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you, that's a picture from my land. Did you know that?
This
It-
one?
That one,
Yeah.
is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably off to
I
the side.
think you're right, because
Yeah.
you can just pull off the road and
That's
grab a
right.
pretty
Yeah.
picture.
So, when we started, we were TV people, for those of you that didn't know, in other
And we
life.
apologize for
Yeah, and
that.
we apologize. It's 30 minutes of your life you'll never get back, so don't watch. So, but we wanted out, and we moved here, and we had the idea for this. Actually, when we broke up, when we were
Yeah,
dating.
we were fighting.
We were fighting, and she ran off to Colorado. And we made up by the time she'd gotten to Oklahoma.
Amarillo, Texas.
Texas, by morning. And but she said, I'm going to go ahead and go on out there and kick around for a week or two, and I'll see you in a few days. So she stopped in Frisco, Colorado?
I was sleeping in my car in Las Cruces, New Mexico. This was before van life was a thing. It was Jeep
Yeah.
life then. And I said, I'm gonna go to Colorado and I'm gonna splurge on a hotel, get a room. And that was in Frisco,
Yeah.
Summit County.
And she picked up a magazine that was sort of like
It's
this.
called The Summit.
Yeah. And so we ended up back here, and I'm going to cut through all of that. We ended up back here, and we started talking about, nobody is doing this. Now, he mentioned Woody a minute ago, and Woody actually wrote in our magazine for a number of years, too. But Woody had started a magazine like this way back in the 70s. And it ran for some time, but it didn't, I don't even know, it went for about
Couple
a
of years.
year, and then it was it. And Woody told me, he goes, we just didn't have anything to support it in those days, really. There was not a lot. So anyway, we decide this. So we get a little notebook, a little red binder with just some paper in it, and we wrote, story goes here, ad goes here. And we went to a couple of people, and one of them, and I'll mention this because I'll always remember this, was the late Steve Crandall, who founded Devil's Backbone. But long before that, he had a company called Tectonics that was a builder. And we didn't know Steve at the time. We got introduced to him. We went in there, and we sat down with him, and we said, hey, we have this, Is there a, is
These are all
there,
our Nelson County
is
committees.
is there a sheet
I love
matter?
it.
Yeah,
Forgive us.
so we,
You, that would be great. Thank you.
yeah, so we go in there. I don't even know what that was. So we go in his office and we present this to him and we said, we'd love for you to advertise. And he goes, I like the idea. I think I'll do that. And if you know Steve, that's kind of how he was. Oh, I like that idea. I think we'll do that. It's great. So he said, well, let me get you a check. And he cuts a check, and you, of course, don't, when someone hands you a check, you don't open it up and go, wow. So we just kept it folded and walked out the door, got in the Jeep, and Steve had paid for the entire first year that day. And we didn't know that. We just expected, okay, the first month, because we thought, okay, if we make one and it works, we'll do 2. And if 2 works, then we'll do 3. And he had done the first year, so we cash flowed the first issue that day. And then it just took off from there. And I'll never forget, and I don't know, Al, if you're going to remember this, when we came to your winery, I remember this distinctly, and he scared just the crap out of me, frankly, when he said it, because he goes, who is going to read, are you going to run out of stories for Nelson County in about a day or something, or a week? And I went,
It took us 16 years.
it took us 16 years, but we did finally. And we actually had to go beyond that. But it was so well received, and we wanted it to be beyond, we didn't want it to be Wintergreen Magazine. We wanted it to be about all the different places and people and stories. And I was floored, we both were, at how well received it was and how much input we got from the community. And it was a fantastic ride. And then, around 2011 or 2013, we knew we needed to expand. And frankly, Lynn Coffey was part of the behind that helped with a name change, who Yvette didn't want to do at first. And then I told Lynn, and Lynn said, yeah, something more encompassing where you can just go anywhere. And that's what we did. And that's when we made the name change and stayed with it until 2021, when we shuttered it after 193 issues. And through childbirth, sickness, blizzards, whatever, we never missed a one. And never missed a deadline. So
Deadlines are important.
yeah. So that was issue 1, black and white, and then we were, of course, full color by the time we ended. So, did I miss anything? I'm just hitting the high points, and
Yeah.
no big questions
We
later.
love the stories about the kids.
Well,
That was the most popular part, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And we had Earl Hamner writing in this magazine too when he was alive, which was kind of interesting too. And Earl told us, and I don't know if we'll do it, but he said one day you should make a book of just those
just the
Yes.
kids.
publisher
Just the
columns.
kids. Absolutely.
Yeah, because you got to see them grow up, and
Yeah.
now.
Well, and what Tommy and Yvette have done with all of these stories is to give an opportunity to the newcomers and the children of the been heres to be able to have a resource. And we think we are doing something special to celebrate the major asset that they created. But as we all know, there are other assets that were created. We had the Nelson County Times that was Woody was the editor of. But guess what? They don't have any copies of their papers.
Oh, wow.
Susan Huffman from the library will be able to tell you, I don't know, Susan, if this is part of your remark, sorry if it is, but she, at the library, has got over 50 years of the Nelson County Times, back into the 70s.
It's wonderful.
And because of the dynamics of this project that Yvette and Tommy were able to push forward, getting all these things digitized, because of that, I hear Susan talking about digitizing those 50 years. And I've come up with the silly idea of let's get the school involved, let's get the students involved, let's get them to help, and let's let them pick out a story every week to get the Nelson County Times to reprint it from part of our history. So off we go.
The
So,
same
thank you.
happened to like Lynn too, didn't it? All of hers are now archived.
We'll be talking
Yeah,
about that.
yeah, so that's great.
So anyway, thank you, and we'll move on.